Hello everybody, it's Cindy the Scrapologist. Welcome back to my channel. And if you're new here, thank you for coming by. I think you're going to love this quick junk journal tip that I have for you today because it's a problem that we all encounter at one point or another. I know I do, and it took me some time to figure out how I wanted to resolve this problem. The problem is when you have beautiful pages that you really want to use, but they're just one sheet. But the obvious solution would be to glue it to a piece of paper to make a signature out of it. But what if you really like both sides? How can you get this form it into a signature if you don't want to glue it and you don't want to fold it? So in this case, I am in the process of developing a book that is based off of a cover that I'm still designing. I don't like the color. And some poems I'm writing and some other things called The Silent Whispers of the Trees. It's fall here in Maine. As you can see, I'm starting to collect my leaves. And, well, this isn't a real one, but I'm inspired to have this be my theme for my next journal. So what I did was I went and I pulled out the beautiful artwork of Gwen Frostick from an extra My Michigan book that I had on hand. If you haven't checked out Gwen Frostick, you need to do that. She's just right up there with Edith Holden, for those of you who love Edith Holden. A beautiful artist, and her books tend to be on lovely handmade paper, vellum, other things. So I went through, but this book is about Michigan. And I don't have any ties to Michigan. I have nothing against Michigan. It just doesn't mean much to me personally. So I'm going to put this when I figure it out. When I finish it, I'm going to put this over it and have this be my book. I'm going to convert this. But the problem is when I pulled out the pages, this book was so old and dry that, look at that. See, I love her work. I love her work. Um, it was so old and dry that all of the pages came out individually. The signatures broke. Well, I have a couple of them did manage to not tear. But I want to use these, and I love both sides. This one is just beautiful swirls reminiscent of snow-covered mountains, and there's some birds. I love the colors, and there's a beautiful poem about a tree on the other side. It's also gorgeous, gorgeous cotton paper. So what do? I'm going to show you a couple of techniques that you can quickly do to salvage these papers and use them in your journal. Okay, I've cleaned off my desk, kind of pushed all my little goodies off to the side, and let me show you tip 1. So the first thing that I've decided to do is I am trying to create a digital that's going to go with my Silent Whispers of the Trees kit. Everything that I develop here today is going to end up in a kit, but it's going to take me a while because I'm really enjoying the creativity process of this, and I want it to all be really cohesive. And so, yeah, this is not ready yet. I don't like the way this turned out, but I'm going to show this to you just for the purposes of demonstration today. The first thing that we can do is take our scoreboard, and as I've said many times in my videos, I don't buy a lot of gadgets for my craft room. I think if you're a paper crafter, a scoreboard makes your life so much easier, and it's just a mandatory piece of equipment for me in my studio, especially making mini albums and anytime you have to score anything. So what I'm going to do for this page is I'm going to just put it in my scoreboard, and I already kind of did it here, but I'm going to score it on the left hand side at 1/2 of an inch. So you can see You can see the score line there. Let me move this out of the way. And then what you can do is find a piece of paper that you think looks nice over the page if it's sticking out. In this case, these papers are bigger than a regular 8.5 by 11 sheet, so I wanted to find something that's going to look nice if it's smaller than this sheet, and I don't mind that at all. So all you're going to do is give this a little crease. This is now going to be your spine, the center of your signature where you're going to sew. So you're going to put that in the center, kind of figure out where you want it. Okay. And then you're just going to put glue on this. I don't need glue at the very tips because we're going to cut those off. And I think the easiest way to do this is to position it where you want it, both horizontally and vertically, and fold your paper over. Make sure that it's snug in that crease. Fold it down and score it a bit. And it's going to take a little bit of time to dry. And if your paper is a little too large, you can go ahead and cut this off. So I'm just going to do that. Just give it a little trim. Whoops, sorry, did I do that off camera? So sorry. And I don't really mind that so much, but you could also kind of taper it like that or use your corner rounder to make it a little more gradual if you don't like that. And that's the kind of detail that I will tend to look at when I'm done decorating. There we go. So now when I sew this into, where's my book? When I sew this in, there's my center signature, and I can keep putting things in like this, and some of it shows over here, which is very interesting to look at. And now this is a page all by itself, and I've got both sides of this lovely Gwen Frostic paper. So we have another way that we can do this. Let me show you the second idea. I am going to start by doing the same thing that I did last time and make a little 1/2 inch hinge. So I'm going to score it 1/2 inch. And I'm going to give it a good crease. You really are better off creasing it to the bubble side like that. I didn't do it right on the first one. But then you can glue it down just kind of the opposite of the way you did the last time. So glue it down here. And this is the center of my page. And this is what it would end up looking like. So now, again, you can imagine it because I want to show you something else with this page. So there you go. There you have another nice page, and I can see both sides. Can you see the seagulls? They're very faint on this beautiful paper. One of these days, if you would like, I will show you a flip through of some of my Gwen Frostic books. They're just beautiful. I'm going to show you some of the techniques of hers that I'm kind of copying in this series that I'm going to be showing my process for this journal, and her use of vellum and other things. It's very inspiring. So that's technique 2. Let me show you a third technique. For this third technique, you would do the same thing. You want a 1/2 inch hinge. I'm saying 1/2 inch. Did I do 1/2 inch? Yes, I did. I was thinking for a minute there I did 1/4 inch. 1/2 inch. And I am going to glue this down like I did the other one, but this one I'm sort of gluing it down to the right side. I didn't really crease it down good enough. Let's crease it down. Position it where I want it. Make sure it's right up in that crease. Whoops. You know what I did? My paper's upside down. There we go. I do that all the time. Okay. And before I fold this over, I need to wipe my boo-boo off. Wipe the glue off. Okay. You could also absolutely use a strip of double-sided tape, which is normally what I would do, but not everybody has double-sided tape. So I'm using glue today. All right, just give that a burnish. And double-sided tape, you don't have to wait for it to dry. Okay. So that's what I was demonstrating before. And now I'm just going to take it to my sewing machine. So there it is, sewn down the middle, and I think that makes it look very pretty. You're of course going to sew your signatures in here anyway, and you're going to have some strings there, but this will hold your page in really nicely, and you will be able to see a little bit of the stitching. You also could slip this into something. I don't have anything here, but let's say you have a side pocket. No, that doesn't have a... Let's just pretend that this is a pocket here. And you could slip this into a pocket and have this part sticking out, if that makes sense. The other reason for sewing is because maybe you want to put a few of these together. So I could have made another hinge here, put this here, and then I would have a couple of these single pages sewn already together, and not have to worry about them slipping around or anything while I'm trying to sew in my signatures. Now, of course, if you only like one side of your page, save them for the covers, inside covers of your journals. This would look beautiful here, but I really like this little froggy on the back, so I want to use both sides of this. You could also, sorry, had to fix my microphone. You could also save the single-sided ones if you don't like both sides for book covers. So you could put them on the inside or the outside covers. Now a fourth option, and I don't really have a page here that I want to do this to. I was looking, and these all need to be in a certain orientation. The clouds need to be up here. Look at that. Awesome. But this one's already in a signature as well. But let's just say, if you can just imagine with me for a moment, that you have one that you don't care, there's no upside down on it. You don't care if it's this way or if it's this way. I don't have any... that would be if it was something that was just a pattern maybe, or lines for journaling. So another thing that you could do is you would get your scoreboard out, and this time do your 1/4 inch crease at the top. Yeah, I don't want to crease it. Do your 1/4 inch crease at the top. And I'm sorry I don't have an example for you all, but you would fold in your crease, glue it down to a page, and now you have something that flips up. Isn't that a really cool thing to have in your journals, is to have a flip up? Sometimes all we think about really is things to flip out, but let's flip up too. It makes it much more interesting. How I got that idea was I'm making a blank mini album for a customer, and I always like to put in one page that flips up. And this particular page has a pocket. So we could actually do that. But again, that would only be if you don't care what's on the other side. So if you have, now if you don't really care what's on the back side of these single-sided pages, whoops, these aren't the same size. Let's see, I need another one. Well, let's use this. Okay, so for these, they're just white. I don't care what's on the back side. I could sew 2 of them together and have there be a side pocket. So what I would do, here, let me do it with you. Here's how I would handle that. I would figure out my orientation. So this would be my 2 single-sided sheets. I'm going to take them and lay them in order. So this is going to go 1/2 inch here, and then this one's going to go 1/2 inch here. Of course, I wouldn't go through a word like I'm doing here, so this is just for an example. And open them up. I'm actually going to use tape for this example. I just think it's much more efficient and faster, especially when I'm demonstrating. So I would take my double-sided tape, sorry, I'm working way down here today. My sciatica is bothering me, so I am actually standing in a very funny position that you don't want to see right, right now. Oh. My rear end's sticking way out. Okay, let's just put these together. Okay, I didn't do that very perfect. Look at that. Okay, so then we have our little hinge here. And let's have a pretend signature. So there's our hinge that we're going to glue onto the page, right? So then, now I'm going to take it to the sewing machine, and I'm going to sew along the bottom, in my hinge here, and along the top. And through the magic of television, here we are. So I just sewed very messy. I lost my place here. I couldn't see the seam. I would recommend, normally I take a pencil and I'll just draw a really light line, but I'm just trying to kind of rush just a little to get this video out for you. So I just did a straight stitch in my fold here, and then I did a zigzag stitch on the top and the bottom, and so now I have a pocket that I could take this and glue my hinge down, and now I have a pocket with my 2 beautiful individual pages. Like if I did it with this, it would have this gorgeous sun on one side, and that on the other, and this would be a pocket in here where I could stuff some gorgeous things. So that would be another idea. And if you wanted that top loading pocket, the top flipping pocket, you would just do your hinge here, and your pocket would be up here. Obviously, it wouldn't be like this. It would be only the width of your page, but you get the idea. So you can do it this way, or you could do it with your hinge up here and have it flip, or you could even have your hinge on the bottom and have it flip down. My next idea is one of my favorites. Let's see. Let me find another one. Here, let's take this one. Oops, I wanted this. Okay. Take a piece of ribbon that you really like. This particular ribbon here is 1.5 inches. It's a little wide. Really all you need would be 1 inch of ribbon, but this will definitely work. And I love this particular ribbon because it has lace up the center that's already sewn on for me, so I've already gotten a little layering going on there. So I'm just going to cut a piece of this that is the length of my page. And I don't have my good sewing scissors here, but it's the length of my page. And then you can take this and either glue it or sew it onto the edge of your page. And I am going to take this to the sewing machine, and you want it to be at least you could get away with 1/4 inch, between 1/4 inch and 1/2 inch over, but you want at least 1/2 inch of trim to be able to put onto your other page. So this is what it looks like, and I'm going to go take this to my sewing machine. Be right back. Voila! Look at how beautiful that is. I love this stitch. I use it a lot whenever I'm doing anything botanical. And already look at how much that has dressed up this page. And we have a little sewing on the other side. I should have looked first to make sure the sewing wasn't going through any of the words, and luckily it wasn't. The source of all the energy of earth, a revolving mass of light. That goes with this page, the sun. So I want to connect these two together. So now you see that I have some ribbon left here. I'm going to sew that on there, or again, if you want to use Fabri-Tac or some kind of glue, you could do that, but I'm going to take it to my sewing machine and sew it. And here we go. Again, messy sewing. I really went crooked. I actually my presser foot on my sewing machine is twisted, so I've been having a really hard time. I'm going to have to go get that fixed. But now, something that was a real dilemma for me, I wanted these two pages to open up with each other because they belong together, and now they do. Now it's a signature, and a real pretty one too. I'm very happy with it. So what I'm going to do when I sew this into my book is this is the center of the signature. It would just go in with the other signatures, and you sew right down through that fabric. Very pretty. So I hope that gives you some ideas. If you have other ideas of what you do with your single-sided pages, single pages, when you want both sides showing, let me know in the comments below. I'd love to hear your creative thoughts. Bye!